Okay. It's working? You can hear me? Okay. All right, you want me to start? Okay. All right, so hello. My name is Ashley. I live here in Memphis, and I'm an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, and I also do energy work and herbalism. So I wanted to just share some information and thoughts with you guys about staying calm and grounded during this time. There's a lot of upheaval, a lot of fear, a lot of craziness happening culturally for us now, and I think it's really important to stay grounded. And so we're going to talk more about how to do that. So right now there's a lot going on in the world that we just haven't experienced before. Things are just happening in a way that we have to adjust day to day and figure out how to cope with what's happening. A lot of our lives has changed dramatically. We may not be going to work anymore. We may be home with our children. There's also just a lot of fear and panic culturally around what's happening right now. And I think a lot of this fear is causing us to maybe not be totally aware of the fact that there's a lot of opportunity being offered in this time as well. So there's opportunity in being able to take a step back from our normal, busy, hectic lives and to think about, really reflect on how we're living. Opportunity to just slow down and to reassess how we're taking care of ourselves and how we're supporting our families. This is like a very rare opportunity we have to have some space and time to think about those things. So, and personally, I can say that I've been realizing just in this time how much running around I do, how much rushing, how much hurrying, and it's really causing me to rethink, like, is that really necessary? Are all those things I do necessary? And like, what's the benefit? Is this thing that I just do because I think it's normal? Is it a benefit to me, to my health? Is it a benefit to my family? I'm rethinking all the things that our family is engaged in. Like, is that really serving us? Is it really is the benefit of it outweighing the stress that may be associated with it? So, and these kind of questions I feel like are really important to think about because they have such huge ramifications for us personally, our own health, how we're living, also culturally, how our culture operates, and on the environment as a whole. We've seen a lot of the huge impacts it's had, that people aren't commuting hours to work and not driving everywhere unnecessarily and not traveling as much. So these are really important questions because it could really change both how we live our lives, what we value, and how we're taking care of our world. But with all the things that are going on, all the changes, all the upheaval, it's really hard to maintain your grounding, to stay calm and grounded, especially if things have changed for you really dramatically. You've lost work, you're worried about getting sick. These things can make it really hard to maintain any sort of calm or balance. But one of the main points that I want to make is that this time it's particularly important to try and be in that space of calm groundedness. And I'm going to talk about a few reasons why I feel that's the case right now. And then after talking about why, we're going to talk a little bit about how to stay calm and balanced. And those tips that I offer will serve you in any time of stress, not just this one. So the first main reason I want to talk about why it's so important to stay calm is just for your own health. So in this time when there's a lot of fear around getting sick, staying healthy, bolstering your system, supporting your immunity, the main physiological reason for staying calm has to do with our nervous system. So some of you may know this, but we have two branches of our nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So the sympathetic system is like our fight or flight, our fear reaction system. So when we're stressed, when we're scared, when we're panicked, that activates the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic is called rest and digest. So that's when we're calm, we're relaxed, we're sleeping or digesting our food or doing these normal physiological functions. So our sympathetic system is really designed to work in short intervals. So, back in the day, it was like, there's a tiger, I got to get out of here. I'm going to run back to the cave, and it really activates your system, gets blood going to your muscles, like makes you breathe faster, all those things. But the problem is that in modern culture, we normally go around with a large amount of stress. We're in a hurry all the time. So our sympathetic system is like on all the time. And there are a lot of physiological challenges that come along with that. A lot of negative ramifications for your health when you're in that mode all the time. And the main issue in this time to think about is that it shuts down your immune system almost completely. So when you're in sympathetic mode, your immune system is not functioning, because at that time, when your body thinks it has to respond to some immediate stress, it's not thinking about, cruising around looking for bacteria and things like that. It's not going to send your energy there. So, like, the more you're in fear, the more you're in panic, the less your immune system can function. So it's literally like a direct connection. So staying calm is really important for allowing your immune system to work properly and keep your body healthy. A couple other important things I think to note are that when you're in that sympathetic dominant mode, you don't sleep very well, which of course not sleeping also affects your immune system a lot. You don't digest your food very well, so your body isn't getting nourished properly. It also really tends to narrow your thinking. So like your mind is just scanning your environment for threat and danger. So when you're in that mode, like, you can't really have a big picture view of what's going on in the world, and you can't connect to people very well, because you're just like focus in this kind of tense thinking mode. And those both are important points for this time period as well. And just to offer a quick tip here, the easiest, quickest way to switch your body from sympathetic to parasympathetic is just through breathing. So deep breathing, where you're purposefully, intentionally elongating your breath and making your exhale longer than your inhales. Just doing that for a few minutes will start to shift your body into parasympathetic mode. So the next reason I think it's really important to maintain calm at this time is to help shift the collective energy from fear to something more positive. So right now, like I said, there's just a lot of fear collectively in our culture. And it's important to realize that all emotions carry an energy. So it's like when you're with someone and they're really upset, you can feel that without them having to say it. Especially if you're a sensitive person at all, you walk into a room, you're like, whoa, okay, like something's going on here. So imagine being in a room with 100 people who are all really angry or fearful. Like, you would feel that, no question. So we're talking about like several million people in the world right now that are putting off that energy. So we really can't help but be affected by that. And some of us are much more conscious of that than others. Sometimes you really don't realize it, but you just have this feeling of unease. Why is that? Why can't I quite like find a stable place? Why do I feel a little off? It's like because your body is being affected by this emotional energy that's happening in the world. And that's why, if you've noticed, I certainly noticed, especially in the first few weeks of the stay-at-home orders, that like emotionally I felt really up and down, like fine one minute and kind of falling apart the next. And this is a lot of the reason why is because of that collective energy. So it's good to be aware of this because it's actually quite possible to clear that energy and to protect yourself from it to some degree. So once you're aware of it and you can feel it affecting you, you can do something about it. So, and even if you can do that, it doesn't mean that you're never going to feel fearful. You might have feelings of fear coming up within you, but it will be a lot easier for you to stay in a stable place if you're not being affected by everything coming in from outside, and if you're aware of it. Like, this is, yeah, just something that I think a lot of people don't notice. It's like maybe you look at your phone and you see a news headline, or you check in with Facebook and you see something that's upsetting, and all of a sudden you feel off. And maybe you don't even connect the dots that, oh, that thing I just looked at really threw off my feeling of emotional balance. So I think it's really good just to become more aware of that. And there are really simple ways to kind of clear that energy and rebalance yourself. I like to do a little deep breathing to ground, and then imagine like a shower of water washing through my body and down into the earth, or washing the space around my body, what we would call the energy field. So this water is just pouring down over you, washing through your body, washing through your energy field, down into the earth, and you can imagine it just taking out any feelings of chaos, any tension, any fear, letting that wash away. You can also, if you know you're going to encounter something that might throw you off, you can visualize an actual shield around you, so an energetic bubble, a couple of feet out from your body in all directions. Just visualize a bubble around yourself and see those boundaries getting really firm. And that will help just protect you from taking in things that you don't want to come in. And also just the intention. I'm not going to take on other people's stuff. I'm not going to take in anything that is going to disrupt my emotional balance. So just doing those simple practices. Again, if you look at your phone and you see that headline and it's upsetting, take a minute, sit down, close your eyes, take some deep breaths. Imagine that shower washing out your body and washing out your energy field, and see the clarity around you. And that will help you just let go of things that are affecting you from external sources. I also think it's an important reminder that it's okay to have fun and laugh and be joyful, even in difficult times. It's easy to just feel like you have to be serious and worried all the time, but it's really important actually to experience joy and to have fun, and that's a really wonderful way to start shifting this energy. So instead of putting more fear out into the cloud of fear that's already out there, being joyful, having fun, that will really change what kind of energy you are putting out into the collective. It's also good just to remember that like physical and mental health are really closely tied in with emotional health. The more work I do with people, the more I see how a lot, I would say a majority of physical ailments are caused by emotional imbalances that are held for too long. So again, coming back to this place of calm, it's all gonna benefit your total mental, physical, spiritual, everything. And also, like, there are safety guidelines in place that sometimes make it hard not to feel in fear. Like, it's really weird to go to the grocery store and put a mask over your face and like, try and feel normal about that. So again, just like trying to think of it not as doing it out of a place of fear, but out of a sense of care and compassion for yourself and for other people. So, I'm going to wear my mask because I care about the community, you know, not because I'm scared. I'm not doing it out of fear that I'm afraid I'm going to get sick. I'm doing it because I care about everyone else in my community. So another reason for trying to stay in a more balanced place during this time is because there are a lot of potential benefits, which I mentioned some of earlier. And it's really easy not to see them if you're living in a place of imbalance and fear. So it's good to check in with what are the gifts that are being offered in this time. The opportunity maybe to slow down, to spend more time with our families, to not always be rushing in a hurry. I know a lot of people are having time to invest in projects around the home that they normally wouldn't do or wouldn't have time for, gardens and new pets and animals and just wonderful projects like that. Also, I think this is a great opportunity to be able to just check in with yourself on a deeper level. And again, like kind of reevaluate some of the choices you're making. Where are your where are your priorities normally, and where do you really want them to be? So becoming really conscious of this. I want my priorities to be on my home, on my family, on myself, on my self-care. And I feel like these kinds of shifts, as people are rethinking things, this is the thing that could really make a huge difference in our world. So if people are really reprioritizing, really valuing things like home, family, and self-care, that could really have some much larger implications for how we live in our culture and in the world as a whole. There are also some really potentially positive outcomes to this situation that are easy to miss if you're just focused on the fear portion. If lots of people, if their priority shifts to family, health, and more balance in work and life, this could be really good both for individuals, but again, it could go to a larger level and start to affect, our policies and legislation and family support from the government and all these kinds of things. I think also with kind of the shortages of stuff, the people becoming aware of how reliant we are on, large-scale commercial food production and all that kind of thing. There is really the opportunity to create more sustainable and connected and resilient communities where we find local people to buy our food from, or local people who make things that we need. We can, it's encouraging people to start tuning into their communities, see what their neighbors are offering, finding local farmers, and that obviously can have really huge positive ramifications for our environment, for our society, for our economy. Just supporting more support of local food systems has such huge implications. It helps us be more connected with our food source, more connected with nature. Generally, we're going to be eating a lot healthier food if it's produced on a smaller scale and more locally. We just lose a lot of the environmental effects of shipping food across the country and having our food production controlled by large corporations. Like, this could just have really huge effects. And again, this is just going to require enough people wanting to make this shift and sticking to it. Also, we talked about the benefits of people just traveling less, commuting less. That obviously already is having a huge environmental effect. And if even some of that continues, that is going to make a huge difference for the environment. I think one of the biggest potential bonuses of this situation is that people could come out of it with feeling happier, or creating lives that make them happier, that support their physical and mental health to a much greater degree. And I think with the realization of like, hey, maybe I don't need all this stuff that I normally do, there comes like a shift in recognizing that it's sort of like stepping out a little bit of that rat race that Americans tend to be in of like, I need to make more money so I can buy more stuff. And if we realize that we can really live a little bit more simply with a little less stuff, we don't need to work so hard all the time to make that money for it. It's like just shifts the life balance so much. And again, like shifts the priorities in a way that could really change people's experience of life in a positive way. And just like the lack of stress and the lack of pressure and the lack of rushing and all that will have such huge effects on people's physical, mental, emotional health. All right. Yeah, and just to say, of course, there are negative aspects to the situation. There's fear, there's loss. But I feel like there's so much less focus being given to the possible positive aspects that it's really keeping us in that sort of negative and stressed out and fearful state of mind. So just offering these things as a little bit of a counterbalance to that energy. So now we're going to shift into just talking a little bit more about how actually to maintain balance. We talked about why maintaining balance in this time is really important, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about some techniques to do that. So the suggestions I'm offering are things that I find very personally useful. There are so many methods out there to help you maintain emotional balance and have greater health, but my main point I want to make is that it's just extremely important to tune into your own body and find out what works for you. So there's lots of things that I feel like we have the message are healthy, and so we do them, and sometimes we stick to them and sometimes we don't, but we can do them with such kind of commitment without really feeling how they're affecting our body. So I just think that it's healthy to eat salad every day. So I'm going to eat salad every day. Well, if you don't have very strong digestion, then eating a bunch of raw vegetables isn't necessarily the best thing for you. You know, you might feel kind of sick or slow to digest, you know, if that's not the right thing for you. But if you have the idea in your head that that's just healthy, then you might keep doing it anyway. So just to say, like with any of these suggestions and any suggestions you get anywhere, just tune into your body and feel how you feel after you do it. Do you feel better? Do you feel calmer? Like, what are the actual effects for you? And then if it's something that feels like it's really helping you, then keep doing it. And so my suggestion is to do this really throughout your day. How did that thing make me feel? What did I just did? Was reading the news or looking on social media, did that make me feel better or worse? Okay, now I'm going to go for a walk. Did that make me feel better or worse? And then try to start shifting the balance, where the things that make you feel worse, you can kind of decrease, and the things that make you feel better, you can increase until you find a place of balance where you can kind of maintain yourself without kind of going on a roller coaster. So, and just try different things, different things really work for different people. So if you don't have any good methods that you use a lot, try some different things and see what works. So my first suggestion is connecting with nature. I think this is one of the absolute best ways to ground yourself and calm your energy. So this can look a lot of different ways. It really doesn't matter what you're doing, just whatever you like to do. You could just be sitting out in your yard, or you could be hiking in the woods, or you could be crafting or running or biking or whatever. But getting outside, being connected with nature, preferably it's awesome if you can be physically connected with the ground. So like taking off your shoes and sitting with bare feet on the ground, or sitting directly on the earth. The earth actually gives off don't want to go into it too much, but anyways, if you know about earthing, it's like it actually changes the I want to say electromagnetic frequency of your body. I don't know if that's right, but anyways, being directly connected with the earth really helps calm your energy. So yeah, or putting your feet in the water, just that energy is so calming and so clearing and so healing. So I recommend doing that as often as possible, especially this time of year when it's beautiful outside. Also, just a lot of the time when you're outside, you're moving, you're walking, you're hiking, you're running, you're getting some exercise, and exercise is really beneficial for your body and your mind. It helps you process difficult emotions. Being active, it helps you just clear out the sort of biochemical junk that comes from being stressed out. And yeah, and it helps with like alleviate depression and all these wonderful things. So moving is great. Being in nature is awesome. My second suggestion is making time for stillness. So I recommend doing this at least on a daily basis. It doesn't have to take very long. It could be 5 minutes. It's one of those things that it's easy to say, yes, like I'm going to do this later, and then never actually make time for it, to have the intention to do it, but not actually do it because we just tend to be in a go, go, go and mental sort of mindset most of the time. So all this means is just making some time or space in your day to sit and be quiet and to not have any disturbances, turn off your phone or whatever. Just be still and try to let your thoughts just flow through and not get attached to any of them. And there's lots of ways you can do this. You can find guided meditations if it's hard for you to do it on your own. You can sit down, you can lay down if you're not going to fall asleep. There's even a number of great apps out there you can put on your phone that will help you. It'll give you guided meditations or time you or give you a timer, a gong or whatever at 5 minutes. Insight Timer is one of those that has tons of guided meditations on it. It's nice if sometimes you can do it without without any words, so that you can literally just be with yourself. I think our culture tends to really downplay how much wisdom our bodies hold within them. Like, we all have a lot of wisdom in ourselves, and there's just no way we can connect with it if we don't have some quiet time, which we often don't in our modern lives. It's also a chance to just check in with how you are really feeling. So we talked some about how external things can influence us, but like, how are you really feeling? Are you even aware? So just having that quiet time to check in with yourself and feel, this is actually how I'm feeling, like me inside myself. And I think it's, then you can also reflect on that. Like, why am I feeling that? Is that real? Is what I'm feeling, or am I reacting to something? Are my fears and concerns realistic? Is there anything I can let go of? Because now that I've taken time to check in, I see that it's not really true, this fear that I have, or this worry or concern. So yeah, again, just taking a few minutes each day for stillness and quiet. The next suggestion is to nourish your body. So this means a lot of different things, but the idea is that to have any sort of emotional balance or stability, your body needs to be nourished. And most of us have many imbalances, be they physiological or nutritional, or just within our lifestyle, that really affect our emotional stability a lot more than we realize. So, and like I said, this means more than just food. It means self-care, it means rest, it means doing things that you love. So again, tuning into our body, listening to its needs, and trying to find ways to support ourselves better. I'm going to touch a little bit on diet. So Diet is obviously a really important element of nourishing your body. I think it's important to remember that there's not just one diet that's great for everyone. So there are a lot of diets out there. They come and go. At different times of our lives, we need to eat differently. And depending on our lifestyle and depending on our constitution, we need to eat differently. So again, just like tuning in to yourself, what makes me feel better, what doesn't make me feel better. You know, there's a fine line sometimes between healthy cravings and unhealthy cravings, so you have to kind of come to distinguish those. But if you really tune in with yourself, you should be able to start feeling generally broad brush strokes. My body feels good when I eat this, or not so good when I eat that. So things, of course, to to know that are more toxic to the body and destabilizing to your system: caffeine, alcohol, sugar, processed foods, poor quality fats. Those are the things that are important to avoid or minimize if you're trying to really nourish yourself and maintain some emotional balance. It's important to, of course, eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. In my opinion, I think it's important to balance cooked vegetables and raw vegetables. I don't think you should eat raw vegetables all the time. It takes a lot of digestive fire to break them down, but obviously you get a lot of enzymes and things from them. So it's good to eat some of both. It's also important to eat a good amount of high quality protein and fat. You want to make sure that the protein you're eating, especially meat, is good quality. So meat raised on feedlots has all sorts of toxic things in them, so try to avoid that. Good quality fats are like coconut, olive oil, butter, avocados. Fat from meat is good if it's healthy meat. And just to emphasize the point that fat isn't what makes you fat. That's a myth, a cultural myth that some people still believe. Fat is actually very essential to the functioning of your body, and it's actually very calming to your nervous system. So fat is a really important thing to have in your diet. And actually, it also supports your immune system. It's like some of the fatty acids and certain kinds of fats are really supportive to your immune function. So like coconut oil is one example of that. I also recommend including superfoods in your diet that support the immune system. So these include things like mushrooms, seaweed, broths, especially like bone broth, burdock, ginger, garlic, onions, leafy greens, and a lot of kitchen herbs like thyme and oregano are very supportive to the immune system and antimicrobial. So those are great things. Eat a lot of the spice combinations from any traditional cultures like curries and salsa, and those kinds of things are also very immunosupportive. So those are kind of just some general dietary things, and also drinking lots of water. So clearing out your body, staying hydrated, that's super important. I'm gonna talk about just kind of a few herbal suggestions. So there are kind of three main categories of herbs here that are worth considering. So one of them is adaptogens. Adaptogens are herbs that help our bodies adapt to stress. So they minimize the harmful impacts of stress and help us just be more resilient. Obviously, immunosupportive herbs are useful to consider if you're concerned about getting sick or concerned about the health of your lungs. And then nervines are herbs that just help calm our nervous system. So good in any time you're feeling worked up and you want to just calm your system down. Some of the adaptogens have that effect too, but for these purposes, I'm dividing them into categories. So some of the adaptogens that I like are rhodiola, eleuthero, maca, and ashwagandha. Those are some of my favorites. And they all have specific kind of uses and things we use them for. In this, like right now, I think that rhodiola is a really excellent choice. So it supports, it gives you more energy. It helps you adapt to stress. It's also good for your lungs. And it's just like kind of, it has kind of a gentleness to it. So I feel like it's good, it's good for a lot of different people. Some immune supportive herbs that I really like are astragalus, any kind of medicinal mushrooms, or like a mushroom complex. Cordyceps is actually really, really an excellent herb for this time because it's specific for the lungs. So it really strengthens your lungs. Both, and you can use it preventatively, you can use it when you are sick, and you can use it for recovery for sure. Like if you've been sick with something along the same, taking a pretty good dose of cordyceps is super helpful in recovering. Elderberry, of course, elderberry syrup is really well known as an immunosupportive. Echinacea also, and ginger. Ginger is a really, really great immunosupportive herb. The only thing about that is that you really want to use the fresh ginger. You don't want to use dried ginger for the immune effects. And, you can juice it also. Like if you make any sort of vegetable juice, fresh ginger juice is really powerful to support your immune system. And then nervines, these are good ones just to have as like a cup of tea to calm you down throughout the day or before bed. So the top ones I'd say are lemon balm, catnip, and chamomile. All really nice, gentle, calming energy. If you're going for sleep specifically, valerian, skullcap, passion flower are good options as well. But like lemon balm and catnip, I like to have around just to have as tea or to give to my kids as tea. Just really nice, gentle, good flavor. They also support digestion. So just to kind of sum that up, if I could give you a few, again, if you want to be really supporting your stress level, supporting your immune system, and strengthening your lungs. A really great combination of the herbs I just talked about is rhodiola, cordyceps, and astragalus. So taking those three together, they kind of make this really nice combination of supporting your body, giving you more energy, really strengthening the lungs, and just like turning up your immune system. So you're just a lot less likely to let anything in. Okay, so there's diet and herbs. A couple other things, just making sure you're getting enough sleep. Sleep is really, really important for every function in your body. And again, it's good to just tune in. Like you may feel more tired when you're kind of processing a lot of stuff, when there's, greater amounts of stress in your life. You might need to sleep a little bit more. That's totally normal and fine. So just if you have the space in your life to follow your own body's requests for rest, that makes a really big difference. Another important part of self-care is just doing things that are relaxing and you enjoy. So go for a walk, take a bath, journal, do yoga, play music, whatever it is that you love to do, that will feed you in a really deep way and support your health on every level. So again, maybe you don't know what you like to do. So try some different things and see what you enjoy and what just brings you joy and makes your heart feel happy. Those are the things that will support your health and your emotional balance in a big way. And just kind of to sum all that up, like the more you can be in tune with your own body, your needs, your what you like, what feels good to you, the more empowered you'll be around your health. The more you can listen to your body's messages. It might be hard to hear those messages if you haven't had practice doing this, or if you just haven't even thought about it. But this is an invitation to start tuning in and getting to know your body better, knowing how to support it. And that it's just a really empowering experience. Yeah, and if you're thinking about your body in this way, you can start to see symptoms that come up for you as messages from your body. Like every symptom really is your body trying to communicate that something isn't working, something's out of balance. So you can really tune into that. And I mean, you can even talk to your symptoms, like literally get into a meditative state and be like, okay, shoulder pain, like what are you trying to tell me? And hear the message from your body. Um, and when you can do that, sometimes just hearing that message, like your body knowing, okay, like she heard it, sometimes that's enough to shift your symptoms. Obviously, not all the time. Sometimes you need to go deeper with it. Um, but I think this is a really, again, an empowering way to view your health. Okay, my body is sending me a message. What is that message? Can I hear it? And then can I make the shift necessary to let that symptom dissipate? So that's what I have to share about nourishing your body. The next thing I want to talk about is um, limiting your intake of media and finding positive ways to connect with others. So in this time or any time of change or upheaval, there's a lot of negativity out there that's being channeled at us, and it could be newspapers, social media, whatever. Just lots of hysteria, lots of people sharing stuff that may or may not be true. I think in times like this, it's important to really limit your intake, and what you do take in, do it very consciously. So kind of like, okay, I'm making the conscious decision to step into this right now, and then I'm going to make the conscious decision to step out and turn it off. Because taking it in all the time, there's no way you can stay balanced at all. Also, I think it's important to just be aware of who you are interacting with, and knowing what kind of attitudes they have about things. So if you're surrounded by people who are always in a negative mind space, always worried, always, freaking out about the next whatever, you can't shield yourself from that all the time. You're just going to take it in, and you're going to be in that state all the more. So again, being really conscious about what you're exposing yourself to, about what you're taking in, and about how you're being influenced by that, I think is really important, and something that we often forget to do. So, it's okay to not call someone that is going to fill you up with some you know bad thoughts or feelings. um, just kind of distance yourself a little bit if need be, and then find those people who are positive and who really feel supportive to you and fill you up, and make an effort to connect with those people, bring those people into your life as much as possible. And staying connected, I think, is really important in this time. When we're socially isolated, thankfully we have the technology to connect with other people, and staying connected is really, really important for our emotional and psychological balance. So don't forget to do that, but connect with the people who are going to build you up more than make you crazy. All right, and then kind of the last piece I want to talk about is cultivating trust. So this is an interesting thing, something we tend not to be very aware of. But I would say if there's one thing that can really change your life and your perspective more than anything, it is learning how to trust, how to live in a state of trust. So you can maybe just imagine for a minute what it would feel like to trust. Trust that things are working out like they're supposed to for you. Trust that you'll be supported. Trust that you'll have what you need. Trust that things are happening for a reason, even if we don't know what it is. You can find trust in your body, that your body is going to support you and take care of you. And trust that things coming to you are opportunities, even if you can't see how. So this might seem kind of, dreamy or, hard to swallow. But I can say that it will really, really change your experience of life. And if you're choosing to not live in a place of trust, basically what you're living in is a place of worry. So think about how much worrying is serving you. Worrying definitely has a lot of negative effects. It contributes to a lot of stress and a lot of fear. But if you don't worry, if you could, I mean, obviously it's hard not to sometimes, but like if you didn't worry and something bad happened, would you be any better off after that event happening? Because you had worried? Not really. Like worrying doesn't really serve much of a purpose except for to stress us out. And maybe sometimes it helps us be a little better prepared for certain things, but I think we can do that without necessarily having to be in a place of worry. So I offer you the suggestion to try. Obviously, you can't just decide I'm not going to worry anymore and then not worry anymore. That doesn't really work. But if you find yourself kind of all of a sudden, okay, like I'm starting to worry about all these things, just pause for a minute, take that breath, that calming breath, and then try shifting your feelings into a place of trust. Instead of being like, I'm worried that, whatever this bad thing is going to happen. Shift your thoughts into, I trust that this situation is going to resolve safely, or whatever. Basically stating the opposite affirmation from a place of trust. For me, when I do that, it's like immediately my body feels very different. My emotions feel very different. When I first tried this also with my health, with my body, moving into a place of trust, I had symptoms that got way better immediately just by feeling the feeling of I trust my body to support me. I trust my body. I trust that my body is working towards health. Also, if you are in a place of trust, your mind is going, no matter what situation you're in, basically, your perspective affects your thoughts. So your mind is going to try and find things that reinforce what it believes. So if your mind believes that you're in danger, it's going to find examples of why you are in danger. If your mind believes that you are safe and supported, it's going to find examples of how you are safe and supported. So by shifting this feeling from worry, fear into a place of trust, you literally can start changing your thinking and your perspective, because your mind will start finding examples of how you can trust your life, how you can trust your body. So this is like a huge, powerful shift that you can make. And again, it takes a lot. It takes effort. You have to keep doing it, and it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally. We generally tend to worry a lot naturally. So it's just bringing that awareness. Okay, here I go down the worry spiral. Let's see, can I shift that? Can I change how I'm feeling? And that's going to make such a huge difference in your experience of life. So those are my suggestions I have to share. And I just want to reinforce that, we all have more power over our experiences and our perspective than we tend to recognize or be active about. So we kind of feel like things just happen to us, we can't control it, we just get swept down the river. But the way we can become more empowered in our lives is to take control of our perspective of it. So we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we think about it and how we react to it. So if you think about the fact that like two different people can experience the same thing and they can come away with it with completely different ideas about what happened, why it happened, and what the experience of it was. One person can be totally traumatized, one person can think that was totally fine. Just like, great, an opportunity for growth. So just like I encourage you all to bring a little bit more awareness to what your perspective is and bring some awareness to how you are shaping that perspective, because that's what we can do. we can choose to guide our perspective into a more positive place, into a more supportive and healthy place. And that's really what I hope that my suggestions will help you to do. I hope this all has been helpful for you. You're welcome to contact me with any thoughts or questions. My website is www.awakenenergymedicine.net. My email is awakenenergymedicine@protonmail.com. So feel free to be in touch with me with thoughts or questions, or if you're interested in my work. Thank you so much to the Beehive for hosting this and allowing me to share this with you all. Yeah, and I wish you all many blessings. Thank you.